In this section, you'll be learning how to set up a default selection for a drop-down list and how to use helper variables in your web forms. Users of your Rocky Jupiter Deliveries web form can now pick any delivery entry or entries they like and make changes to them. However, the editing part of your form gives your users simple text boxes to make their changes. For the address line, that's perfect. But there are a fixed set of drivers, statuses, cargo types, and clients, so the user would be better off with a drop-down list of the available choices. You'll also agree that the due date editing field should by rights be a date picker control. This is what you'll be crafting in this section. So let's duplicate the task list drop-down lists in Task Editor, since they can take the exact same options. Copy the driver filter, client filter, load filter, and status filter drop-down controls in the task list table header. Rename them to uniquely identify them in the form. Make sure that the drop-down lists retain their original values that come from the assignments reference table. Use the selected key property of the drop-down controls to specify their original value as the default value for the drop-down. Drop-down lists all have a query statement in their selected key properties, which return the relevant values as they were passed into the Task Editor table using the Add button. In the new and improved Task Editor table, replace the text box for the due date with a proper date picker control. Its date property should also be a default value, data-bound to the relevant column in Task Editor. Make sure that you give every control in the Task Editor table an ID. You'll be using the input in them to update the assignments reference table in the database. And the workflow script that you create to handle this needs identifiers to target form controls. Save, publish, and access the web form online. Use the Edit button to insert one or more rows into the Task Editor table, and check that the original values have been retained, but that the drop-downs now prevent typos. Good job! Now for a little helper variable that will make this same code a bit tighter and your life as a mobile engine developer a lot easier. In the form, you include the table expression that specifies the options for the status drop-downs twice. Whenever you declare the same thing in a single form more than once, you should ask yourself whether you'd be better off putting it inside a variable and simply refer to the value of the variable wherever you need it. The let element declared inside a declarations trait can store anything for later reuse. A mere table literal is no match for its capacity. The declarations trait must appear as the first child of its parent. The 0 or more let elements inside it must have an ID, otherwise you wouldn't be able to reuse them, which is the whole point of a variable. They must also have a shape, aka data type, and a value query statement that returns a value that matches the specified shape. After you set up the status var variable, you can reuse it in any number of query statements around the form. Let's replace the table expression that lists the available delivery status options with a reference to status var. Save, publish, then access the form and check that it's working just as before. The helper variables do not affect the interface or the functionality. In the next section, you'll be enhancing the user experience for the Rocky Jupiter Deliveries web form a bit before making it fully functional with a workflow script and handing it over to the admins.